Nice morning for a video while I have a little coffee and just enjoy the morning before the sun comes up. It's always one of the best times of the day, obviously. I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about my day, how I might use it productively. And I admit, as I get older, I struggle with that sometimes because when you're younger, it's all about being productive. It's all about chasing goals and dreams and whatever. Although I was never a goal setter. I never, even when I was younger, I never saw the point in that because it always seemed to me that either A, something will foil your plans, or B, once you finally reach the goal, it's like, well, what now? And you're just constantly coming up with more stuff, more stuff that you're just putting on yourself. I just never saw the point. And of course, as I get older, I, you know, that's just nonsense to me. To me, it's being in the moment. What else? I mean, I try not to look at the past. Little train action. I try not to look at the past or think about it or analyze it or any of that, but I inevitably do it. I had an interesting dream the other night, and it was like I was back in high school and going through all those emotions I had back then. Everything. It was really strange. And the whole thing, I guess, the impression of it was when I woke up anyway. I just felt like, as much as I regret so much of my past and the decisions I made and so on and so forth, I really didn't have control over the situation when I was younger. I did not have the wisdom or the ability to discern very well what I was doing. And I never got in any like legal trouble or anything like that, but just bad decision making, getting into, a relationship I shouldn't have got into so young, and getting married out of high school, and just poor decision making. I mean, at 18 years old, most people are not ready for any of that. It's too much. You're barely grown up. You're not grown up. And they'll send kids off to war at 18. I mean, you're not cognitively ready to take on those types of responsibilities or have that kind of connection. I don't know. That's just. And then to send young kids off to war that are in that condition and not cognitively able to really to process. And of course, that's why they send the young, because they can't process it. They're just going through motions, and you'll deal with the PTSD later, and that's how that works. But anyway, and then the politicians are so okay with just sending young kids into situations like that. It's just really, really beyond evil, actually, to use the young just to enrich other people off the backs of warfare. It's pretty sick, but any thinking person knows that. And anyway, but just going back to the dream and how I didn't have really a lot of control. I mean, it was so weird because the dream was just like I was just like right back in the moment. And I think maybe that was the purpose of the dream, was to show me that I don't have to carry that stuff around with me, like being, you know, looking back at the past with, what's the word, being bitter or whatever, you know. I can just let go because I couldn't control it anyway. I just I just couldn't. And I don't know any young people that are really in control of what they're doing. Even older people. I mean, give me a break. I mean, people are just going through motions every day, aren't they? They're just getting up, going to work, blindly going about life, and I don't know. It's kind of disturbing. But as I've well, I was always a thinking person. When I got into my 20s, I really became more that way. I was the guy that had the Popular Mechanics magazines magazine subscription. I had a subscription to National Review and the American Spectator, and I thought I was really intellect. It's just like that show They Live, where he's picks up the magazine off. He's at the book, the book magazine rack in the city. Like they even have those anymore. Do they have magazine racks in the city? I kind of doubt it. I don't know. Back in the '80s, it was a different time. And Roddy Piper was at the magazine rack, and he pulled a magazine off the shelf and was looking through it, and it was like some talking about all this sophisticated stuff, and technology or whatever, but under the subliminal message was, obey, consume, no independent thought. It's just stuff like that, and it's just like, yeah. And I don't know where I was going with that. But it's just really strange how, well, I guess I was going back to my magazines that I used to have, and I was so enlightened because I read National Review and articles by William F. Buckley Jr. I mean, it's just, in looking back, you're like, and what did that really accomplish? What, you know, other than just being puffed up in your own ego, like I know more than other people or whatever, It's just it's same with Popular Mechanics, uh-huh, and all the stuff, in that magazine. They used to have stuff on Area 51 and how they were actually, probably Area 51 wasn't as significant as everybody thought. They probably actually moved it somewhere else, like in Denver, which probably moved it under the Denver airport or something. It's just, boy, I was in the know, boy, I tell you. Oh, yeah, see all these rabbit holes. And that's what it's about. That's really what it's about, is sending people down endless rabbit holes that really don't mean anything at all. And you may think they do at the time, but they don't. They're just, it's just endless paths to nowhere. Yeah, quite honestly. Same thing with, modern day, only it's not magazines anymore. It's the internet and whatever's on there. YouTube, ridiculous YouTube. I mean, it's just endless amounts of nonsense and craziness. And maybe that's the whole point. It's just to keep people in this state. It's probably keeping people in that lower vibrational state. I can kind of buy into that. I used to not really resonate with that, but I kind of get it now. If you keep people, and you can use vibration, you can use just, lower thought processing, just whatever you want to call it. That you keep people in this state where they're you know, seeing stuff on the internet, reacting to it emotionally, or just being confused by everything that just comes at you just constantly. And if you're absorbing things on a daily off the internet and off of these platforms like YouTube, and you're just absorbing all of this stuff, all these videos people are making about whatever, it's just, you got some people who are ranting about how everybody is messed up and crazy and nobody can get along, and just and well, or you've got the ones covering the war, who's dropping bombs today, it's just like, and it's just a constant barrage of stuff. And so by the end of the day, your brain is just, you know I don't know, just in a state of like scrambled eggs almost. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, anyway. So it's like every day it becomes like a challenge to not end up in that state. I mean, but it doesn't matter what you do. Like, if you're at a job, you're gonna run across people and they're gonna talk about certain things or rub you the wrong way, or you know, so on and so forth. I haven't been in oh, a work environment like that around other people in a long, long time. I've worked for myself, and there's a lot of value in that because I don't really like being around people in workplaces because they're so superficial, and um, they really, really are just actors. They're actors. There's nothing real about most people, and it is most visible in workplaces because you're, inter mingling with these people every day, listening to their bullshit. Um, you know, yeah, I can remember the office and the offices I've been in and work situations, and it's just like that. And you're just like, is there anybody fucking real? And most people just get on my nerves, or did get on my nerves. I'm just like, shut the fuck up, Although I might not have said that out loud, as they're moving their mouth, in my mind, I'm like, just shut the fuck up. But anyhow, well, anyway, that's that's about the rant this morning. I'm just kind of trying to piece together the morning and how I'm gonna go do a little work, I think, and have another cup of coffee, and what else do you do? I mean, whatever you do out there, unless you're unless you're set, you have to figure out how to make money, pay bills, so on and so forth. Not everybody does. Some people are just, I don't know, just the gutter made, I guess. But in the that can also be not so good because then you've got a lot of free time, and I suppose if I had that much free time, I would just buy a place that I could just be out on a four-wheeler all day, or get out. you know well, anyway, I don't know, I've run out of things to say, I suppose. Gonna try to not look at internet too much today, although I do it. I mean, it's an addiction. It's like somebody with a porn addiction, and which I don't have, by the way. I never have had that particular problem, but just addiction to um, addiction to news. News can be very depressing. It can really lead you down um, dark alleys because of the content, the low level vibrational, whatever, the low vibrational content. Well, anyway, okay, that's it.